All right, so I'll open the meeting. This is the, this is the Wednesday, June 5, 2019 meeting of the Lakeville Police Station Building Committee. Anybody taping the meeting?
Lake Cam?
Other than Lake Cam? Okay, so let the record show that nobody is taping the meeting. Our first order of business is to check out the meeting minutes for the 5/21/19 meeting. The minutes have been provided. Did anybody have any comments or questions about the information?
It's the same one because
I'll make a motion.
Cybercom is flying Motorola, so it's same difference. Yeah.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, I abstain, I was not present. Okay, so the next order of business is to get the construction update. Bob's going to give that.
Thank you, Aaron. Since our last committee meeting, we've had some good progress on the site.
Can we hold on let's start with radios.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because Ryan has to go, yeah.
Jeez, you even told me and I didn't even
That's
remember.
fine. Not to put you on the spot, Ryan, but I know you have to go, so.
No, not a problem. I appreciate that.
All right, so just for the sake of following along, this is, I guess, 7D on our number 7, letter D, not 70. We don't have 70 agenda items.
Correct.
All right, thanks.
All right, just an update with the radio equipment through Cybercom, which would be the additional equipment through the RFP, would have been listed as optional, I believe. We had outlined, I had met with the Board of Selectmen with my outline. This would have been coming out of contingency. I could pass this around so everyone has a copy.
Oh, I think that's included in here.
It is in the packet, yeah.
Yep. Okay. So if you'd like me to just touch base on each item, I certainly can do so.
Why don't you just run through it quick, Ryan?
Okay.
What each one is.
So as listed, item number 1 was the replacement and upgrade to existing portable radios to the dual band public safety APX model. So what that is our current portables, they're starting to age out. We're having some issues with them. They're only capable of transmitting and receiving in a UHF frequency. With our new repeater that will be placed at the water tower, it has a dual band. A lot of departments are moving towards the digital side of communications on the police agencies. This will allow us to do that expansion without any further cost to the town in the future. This will also replace our existing portable radios. That way, some of our radio equipment's close to 20 years old, so this will take us into the projected future for what we need. These are more rugged. These are a public safety grade radio versus the commercial or industrial things that we're using now. The second item is the cruiser radios, so essentially echoing the same on the portable. Some of them are starting to age out. I have been slowly replacing them with another UHF model. The current model that we've had in the cruisers is discontinued. They don't service or sell anymore. So with the replacement of the dual band digital and UHF analog radios, the current ones that I have replaced in the cruisers, which are within 4 to 1 year old, we're going to, our plan was to give to the fire department. They have no interest in switching over to digital. Most fire agencies are not going in that direction, whereas the police are. So the cost savings to the town or the fire department, if they were to go out and purchase these radios, was about $14,000 by reusing them on the fire side. I spoke to Chief O'Brien, and he's very interested in doing so to replace some of his aging equipment. The third item is what I just spoke to, is our radio repeater. We have a strictly UHF analog repeater system. It's a commercial grade. It's not a public safety grade. So we would be switching that over to both analog and digital. Again, looking towards the future, if we were to go to digital, it's merely a switch of a flip of a switch. Number 4 is incorporating the fire department's repeater system also to a public safety. Theirs now is, I guess you could call it a business grade repeater. It's not designed for what it's being used for. So this will get them up to par with a public safety grade UHF analog repeater. Again, they don't need the digital repeater because fire is not headed in that direction. Item number 4 is upgrade the fire department repeater, which I just spoke about. Item number 5 is the Motorola APX control stations for dispatch. This was an add-on after looking at the proposals and the projected install of equipment. Everything is going to be housed, at the new site, everything is going to be housed in the server room. If there were a failure up in that room or for some reason a power outage, what have you, this control station on the desk would be standalone. That will still operate. You don't need any of the equipment in that server room. So this was more of a backup system. It's going to have the redundancy to continue to communicate with the officers, with the fire department, what have you, if the system were to fail. Number 6 was the APX 4500 for the boat. The reason why that's separated is because the quotes had already come in on the mobile cruiser radios, so replacing all existing cruiser radios. The boat was purchased after that fact, so that was just incorporated in rather than amending the original quote. The antenna quote, off of the original RFP, I found that we did not have enough antennas to facilitate all of the radios that were being installed. So this was 5 additional telewave antennas for the equipment within the new building. So that's what the telewave antennas were for. And the radio brackets, the newer upgraded radio system has different dimensions, so it required some changing of brackets within the cars, coming out to that cost there. And I don't know if you have down below, it says total approved, underneath, in addition to the above approved amount, $30,384.60 had been added for 2 additional police and fire repeaters for proposed future town network expansion. That I don't believe we are going to need. I've been working on another upgrade to the town's radio network, so it's kind of 2 different things, but I don't think we're going to need an additional repeater for either department.
All right, so just to couple with, so in the budget, I've carried that the total number, the 159,980. So I'll back out that additional 30,000 for now. So
you don't want that right now?
It does not look like we'll need that if we go to the microwave system.
Okay.
So just
Go ahead.
difference between business and public safety.
So essentially, the difference is a business grade repeater. The power wattage that's in it, pretty much the grade of quality, if you will. So, for instance, the repeater we're using now would be more utilized for, say, a hospital security unit or a bus company. The public safety has more of a fail-proof backup system, power backup alerts if the AC power might fail on site, things of the such.
I make a motion, we approve the $129,595.89.
I second that.
All right. Any further discussion, any questions for Ryan before he takes off?
I got one more thing.
Yeah, just got a couple more things.
All right. Did I miss that part too? Is that explained? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks.
It's better.
Sorry.
All right. What you have before you is something I've been working on with Cybercom. It's something that's been discussed on and off for a number of years now. Currently, with both police and fire's public safety radio and repeater system, we're working off of a single site, which, as most of you know, is on Kenneth Welch Drive, the water tower. For an area such as Lakeville, 36 plus square miles, sometimes we have a little bit of difficulty with some communications within town. This proposal that I have here is moving our public safety communications for both police and fire to a microwave network. I'll explain a little bit about a microwave network. What it does is it will take our frequency, essentially put it into a microwave frequency. Instead of, I'll give you an example, say we're up at the Howland Road in the area of the schools, and we keyed a mic. We're attempting to get our communication all the way back to the water tower on the north side of town. With a microwave network, we would put up microwave dishes on existing radio structures, typically cell phone towers. And from there, when we would key the mic, it would do what's called a voting system. It would find the best signal strength closest to us, boost that signal, and transmit it back to the tower, vice versa. So it would have a seamless, with no delay, increased or enhanced radio communication. So we wouldn't be having those poor reception areas or non-transmittable areas. So I've been working with Jeff Bowles out of Cybercom. The map with the green and red dots. The red dots, on this you can actually remove the Fern Ave site. He hasn't updated it yet, but it's called a microwave loop. So essentially it will go from one particular area and just make the loop. If there was a failure at one site, it would just revert back and loop back in the other direction. So if we went to make a radio communication in any part of the town, it would find the closest microwave network to enhance our communication, so we wouldn't be having the issues that we do. And also with that is the quote for what that would cost for both police and fire. So the number that you see there would be taking care of both departments. More of an informational.
Well, I think it's something we need to do, and I've been asking for it for months. Thank you for following up on it. Is there any other requirements for budgeting with that number, whether it's electrical or anything else? Is there any?
So the electrical part runs off of a Cat 5. It's a very low power. When I did pose that question to him, he stated that what we would be paying is on this paper here. And just a side note, you'll see, if you notice, under customer, it says Randolph. That's not an error. He essentially did the same exact work for the same amount of locations for the town of Randolph. So he said that price may come down a little bit because we've decided that, or determined that we don't need the Fern Ave site, so that price actually may drop a bit.
And you save some money on the Motorola.
Yes.
About 30 grand there.
30 grand,
So.
yeah.
We have 75 in the budget to do it, so does that come off the 213?
No, the 213 would be the total coming out of. Everything's been spent from our budget for radios at this point. This is all contingency. I'm not sure why budgetary is something
Maybe that's
Cybercom
what-
put together. Yeah,
Was on Randolph's.
yeah. I don't know what that is.
So the town has access to all these sites, or is there a rental, or?
All of these sites in town, we do. The TV 28 tower, which is the very, I think it's the 1,000-foot tower at the end of Middleborough Road there. That we need permission for, but I've been essentially advised by Cybercom that they've done a lot of work there and they've never had any type of issue because there's so much space there.
Right.
And the other location that we finally were able to complete the loop, we've been going back and forth for weeks now, was the County Street Berkeley. That is also an American tower, the same that we are using on Freetown Street. So we're in the process of working with them just to make sure everyone's okay with it. It's going to take up very minimal space. It's essentially a pretty small satellite dish.
I make a motion to go ahead with this proposal for $213,737.46.
I second that motion.
To come from the contingency.
To be taken from contingency.
Yes.
I'll make a recommendation if I can. Can I amend that by making a recommendation for the Board of Selectmen in that amount? I believe they have to approve that.
Yep.
So it's a
Okay,
contingency.
does anybody have any questions or comments about the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye. Good job, Brian.
Yeah, good work.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Can I just say something, Aaron? We went out to bid yesterday for the police station bond, and it came in, the premium came in at over $900,000, which is very unusual. And so with bond counsel, the town accountant, myself, and Lynn Ludwig, we resized the bond, so only borrowing 6.4. But it will be at 7.4 million. We thought would be at 7.2 million. So that was really good news on. So I was just worried about how much we still have left in the contingency after these other items.
Yeah, if I take that 30 grand out, we're right around 650. So minus that 2 change that we just, 213, 215, so you're still right around 400.
Okay. We don't have.
So what did you
big
go
change
out,
orders
what'd you go out to
today, do we?
bond for, Rita?
Pardon?
How much?
6.6 million, I think, or 6.4 million.
And how much have we spent?
How much have we spent to date? 6 million.
So why'd you go for 6.6?
Because of the premium. We received over 900,000 in the premium. Disclosure costs are around 62.5.
What are you gonna do with the rest of the money?
It works out to be, well, we resized it down to we used the premium to bring down the bond.
The total budget is 8.8. So there's money we haven't spent yet.
I understand, but,
So the final bond will be 7.4 million.
oh, you confused
Yeah.
me. Okay, I'm sorry.
It is confusing.
Yeah.
Because, like Lynn said, unheard of with that premium.
Okay.
So it's a good thing, is what you're saying?
Oh, it's a really good thing. Yes.
Clarify.
No, it was really.
Didn't know whether to smile or frown.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just
It brings down the,
borrowing less money.
we're gonna pay 40,000 less a year in just principal, and I haven't figured out how much we're saving in interest over the 15 years, so it's a really good thing. The tariffs, the China tariffs actually worked in our favor.
What's that?
Is there anything else radio-wise?
Not radio-wise.
No?
Mr. Chair, can we take 7C out of order as well?
Sure, yep.
Fitness equipment. It was brought to our attention that the police association was going to purchase the fitness equipment. They were approved for a loan, however, they were not able to get insurance. We had a, while walkthrough at the police station the other day with one of the members of the Board of Selectmen, and we gave him the price of $12,100 approximately, and he said, why doesn't the town just pay for it, whether it comes out of the contingency or whatever, for that amount. Ryan has the quotes of all the equipment that was requested, so if you have any questions for him on that.
You can speak to that a little more, if I may.
Does anybody, so just to paraphrase, the equipment isn't coming from where you thought it was. One of the solutions is to purchase it through basically a change order process as a contingency. Yeah.
It would be through the project rather than through the association.
Right. Does anybody have questions of Sean or Ryan regarding this? I mean, I think that's pretty straightforward.
Well, why wouldn't they insure it?
Because
So the police association, as Sean stated, was going to take care of all the equipment. Due to, we're a small entity, the association, we were going to take a note, we got approved for a loan, but they would not grant the loan without now the association carrying an insurance policy on this equipment, because it's not owned by the town, it's owned by the association. Therefore, now we need to carry liability if something were to happen to someone on one of those pieces of equipment. So it's getting to the point where the cost is now, rising, going up, and
Did you get a quote on what the insurance would be?
that Val spoke with one of the insurance companies today, and they said they'd get back to her within the week.
But I think logistically, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for the association to own the equipment inside a town building.
correct.
I don't
Or
think
the
that.
insurance.
Right.
We're in
So-
agreement.
Yep.
Ryan, what was the amount of that?
It was $12,129.20.
To make a motion through contingency, we purchased gym equipment to furnish the police station in the amount of $12,129.20.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
You guys are on a roll. What else you got?
I know I'm not invited back. so-
No speeding tickets for any one of us.
Rewind.
Does anybody have anything else?
Hey, does anybody have any further questions for Ryan and Sean? Oh, Sean, you're sticking around though.
Yeah.
But Ryan wants to get out of here. Is he good? Everybody good? All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you for having me.
Thank you, Ryan.
You're welcome.
If we could stay on items that we just needed further approval on. Mr. Chair, if we could take item G out of order and just have Tim discuss what he put before the Board of Selectmen
Okay.
as far as additional computer equipment.
Yeah, so the first one, the 80,000 for the server upgrade, that's gonna come in pretty much on budget, might triple over a couple of thousand. That equipment's on order and starting for a ship date. The new PCs for the police department have also been ordered. Some of those ship today, some of them are gonna ship on Monday. And the expectation is after midweek. So price-wise, we're right on budget. The new licenses for the department PCs, that's gonna come in slightly under budget. It's gonna be more like 13,000. And the same thing with the laptops for the cruisers, that's probably gonna come around like 30, somewhere in that range. I'm putting those together with another purchase that I'm making for another place that's gonna help drive our price down a little bit. So we get a little bit of savings there. So, can I jump to discussion about TMLP?
Yeah, I think we should take a vote on this.
We have to vote on this, yeah. Do you want to change that number or leave it at 165 for now?
You can leave it there for now,
Okay.
but expect it to The bottom line will probably stay the same, but the line items are gonna change. a
Okay.
little bit.
So I make a motion.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yep, go for it.
I make a motion, we approve the IT capital request for the new police station approved by the Board of Selectmen on April 23rd of $165,000.
All right, any further questions relative to the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
You want to keep going, Tim?
If you don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm kind of jumping to the action log, but tomorrow will be kind of a telling day, because Team LP is meeting tomorrow to extend the network from here to over there. That'll start the process of getting work. So in this whole process, I've discovered some things that we thought were functioning a certain way weren't. So I'm working with Team LP to get those fixed. So there'll be an additional bill at some point come from TMLP. Through the work we do tomorrow, we'll get, an idea of what it's going to cost, if there's going to be a second amount that they're going to come up with for this integration process. So I just wanted to make you guys aware of that.
Okay, that's a little vague. Is there anything
Yeah, so-
specific?
Yeah, so there's been a belief that we have redundancy in internet connection, and that redundancy comes through the COA. And there's also been a belief that we have firewall failover to the COA.
Yep.
There's a firewall at the COA, it was never configured, it's just sitting in the rack, so it's not being failed over to. And there was also a Comcast connection installed a long time ago at the COA that was never in use. And through talking to TMLP, the original plan was to have that be a redundant connection to TMLP. It never got implemented.
Okay.
So when I got there, I started using it for the public network just because they had public PCs on a town network, so I wanted to segment those. But through conversations with TMLP, the original plan was to have redundancy, so we're going to move toward resurrecting that redundancy, particularly where our phones now are going to be dependent on an internet connection. So that's going to be the start of it. So tomorrow I'll be working with Ian from TMLP, and we're going to go around and try to put a plan in place.
Okay, great, thank you.
Certainly.
Back to the top of the agenda. Bob, you want to kick it off?
Since our last committee meeting, we've had some significant progress to the site. This past week, we had a final electrical inspection, and that passed. The final plumbing inspection will occur sometime early next week. The commissioning agent came by the site this past week, and for the HVAC startups, and everything went well. Painters are 80% complete on the inside of the building, and the exterior is ongoing. This past week, dispatch furniture has been installed. All of the security cameras are installed per their contract. Landscaping, plantings, along with the irrigation should be done by the end of the week. Hydro seeding will be installed next Tuesday. All flooring is 90% complete on the interior of the building. Furniture to arrive on June 21st from WB Mason. Upcoming progress for the next few weeks. Final coat of the asphalt paving should be done along with the parking lines. The punch list will start, and then soon after, the engineer affidavits will follow. So again, I've said this in the past, we've been very happy with AP Whitaker's construction through the whole process. I think Taylor has an update as far as the completion date.
Yeah, their substantial completion date was this week, and I said 2 weeks ago that it's probably another 2 weeks out, and that's what it looks like. It looks very good on the inside. The outside, everybody can see from the road too. It's really coming along, and I think it's in the past 2 weeks have made a huge change on the inside. But there's a couple things that they're waiting on. One is carpet. tile for the conference room. There was a lead time issue getting that, so they're waiting on that. So that can't be installed until at least a couple weeks. And then they had some issues with lockers that were held up as well. So everything is still moving in parallel, meaning that we're still getting our owner vendors in at the same time that the contractor's finishing. So I don't think it'll have any effect over the time that we plan to get the PD in. But it looks like that substantial completion date is going to be, at least another 2 weeks out as they finish here. So, Brian, you probably feel the same way after what you saw.
Yeah, and just to describe substantial completion, what that means is it's a date determined by me. I'm the one who has contract administration over the work that AP Whitaker is doing. It's not a certificate of occupancy. That's something that Nate determines. Substantial completion is something I determine. When I determine that date, it's always a little push me, pull me. The town would like that date to be as far out as possible. The contractor wants it to be as soon as possible. So that's why I have to determine what is that date. The reason why the contractor wants it as soon as possible is because then all the costs for the utilities become the owners, all costs for maintenance is the owners, all costs for security and insurance. Now it becomes the responsibility of the owner. Right now, Whitaker is carrying that for the project. So they would like to say, today would be the date. But then the town has some responsibilities. You also would have responsibility for the start of warranties, start whenever that date I determine. So your 1-year warranty or extended warranties start on whatever date I determine. The reason why the town wants it as late as possible is for just that reason. You don't have to pay the electric bill. Your warranties aren't starting yet. So within that period of time, I have to make a determination that I feel that AP Whitaker has satisfied their construction responsibilities and has satisfied their contract requirements, and the building is suitable for its intended use. It does not mean it's 100% complete, and it's not in relation to any other owner vendor's work or police department scope that still has to be performed. It has nothing to do with furniture. It has to do with AP Whitaker. So it's something that myself and our engineers will be tracking in the next 2 weeks when we feel that all life safety is completed, all the building systems are operational that are responsible for through AP Whitaker. And I will be then signing a form needing signatures from AP Whitaker and signatures from the owner that all 3 entities now are agreeing on this is the date. So just know that when that happens, insurance, utilities, warranties, all of that is predicated off that date. So we're looking at that date to be sometime around the week of June 17th. From what I saw today and what we discussed still happening in the next 2 weeks, somewhere around the week of June 17th, we feel we're going to be at that date where I can establish. The town still has responsibilities to determine their own date for certificate of occupancy. Those dates are different dates. Those dates don't typically align. Sometimes they do, but they don't have to. They could be different dates. So that's going to be our responsibility in the next 2 weeks to track this very closely, because AP Whitaker, as I said, they're going to want it as soon as possible, and you're going to want to push it out as late as possible. That's why it comes down to us to say, this is the date. Now, we have to live by that date. So, any questions about that? It's really a highlight in their contract responsibilities. The contract, understandably, is just between the owner and the contractor. We had liquidated damages in there if they didn't make a certain date. There's no reason to even talk about liquidated damages in this case. Nothing else has to happen. We don't need to extend any time on the contract. We just have an agreement that once we establish a date of substantial completion, There's no liquidated damages being assessed. And then they have 30 additional days to complete the punch list. So when a substantial completion date is established, we do have a punch list attached that says these are the items that still have to be completed. They cannot be life safety items. They have to be cosmetic or aesthetic, or there's nothing there that's going to affect occupancy. Might be a scratch on the wall, might be a paint. There's a punch list. They have 30 days per contract to finish that punch list beyond substantial completion.
It's important to note too that with this slight extension, there's no additional cost to the town.
Right.
Correct.
Not through the OPM, not through Whitaker, not through Brian.
Yeah, so there's really no
So
damage.
there's no damage. So I just wanted to,
Right.
mention that. And to another point is, from what I understand out of this, some of the delays on getting stuff in are by file subbidders, somewhat out of the control of Whitaker. I mean, I know personally I couldn't be happier with what Whitaker's done over there. So I don't want to make this sound like, it's something that.
No, and they're extremely close. They're fine. Electrical's signed off, plumbing's being signed off next week. Final fire alarm testing's tomorrow, so everything's right there. It's just there's a couple lead items that they don't have in yet.
Yeah, we're very satisfied. Liquidated damages are in there as if you do incur damage. If you were leasing something or renting something and you had to extend a lease, then you'd have a damage.
Questions? All right, moving on. Budget update. I have update number 14 included in your packet. The changes this month were in line 1, we added change order number 10. Those are all the items that we discussed last week. Those included the addition of the landscaping, the irrigation. Those were the big ones there. Then moving down to line 23, we just talked about the communications equipment. This is now approved by the committee, so I'm going to be changing that number to $129,595.89, taking out that $31,000 that we don't need. And then below that are the computer upgrades that Tim went over for $165,000. And then the builder's risk number, we didn't add $12,362. It was already about 11 grand that we had previously expended. There was another $1,785 that we needed to renew the policy for another month. So that's what's tacked onto that. So after that all filters out, line 32 under the adjusted budget, you'll see where your contingency's at. And again, that's gonna go up a little bit because of the 30 grand we're taking out, but then I will recognize what we just spent on the radios. So that'll be coming back out for the additional radio that was approved today.
Plus the 213.
Yes, the 213. So overall, we're still in very good shape. I think if you look at our change order, I think we did a really good job of limiting design expenses or design changes. And this committee was really able to get a lot back into the building that we took out prior to going out to bid in VE. And I think the town's going to recognize a number of upgrades that we've been able to get back into the building with this budget. So we've done a good job.
Okay, well, the 213 number is going to be on the next one.
I think
That would be brand new, yeah.
And the gym equipment.
And the gym equipment.
Voted to recommend that the gym equipment. But where were you taking the 30 out of? What line?
Line 23.
Okay.
I was carrying the full number that Ryan had, but he said he didn't need that 31 grand. So I'll update this and send it back
Okay.
around. Moving on to owner vendor update.
Can I go over the changes?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Mike.
I don't know if you had any material testing update, number 5.
Material testing's done.
Change requests, I had handed out, it's also in your packet, it's the summary. And the great thing to report on the second page is for change order number 11, nothing to report. This stage of the project, it's actually phenomenal that we didn't have anything when we put this together a couple days ago. But we have a couple more requests that have come in since I put that together. The police department has toured the locations of cameras in the building and outside the building, and they have requested an additional multi-sensor camera to be placed on the exterior of the outbuilding facing the Bedford Street entrance. They see that this is a blind spot in their coverage for that entry exit onto Bedford, that there's no camera facing that entry point. So they requested that a camera be added to the outbuilding. We have added cameras to the outbuilding before. We added one camera in the back looking at the impound lot. We added a camera under the carport looking at the vehicles. We've added a camera inside looking at the storage area and the bulk evidence and found property containment area. This one would be an additional one that would be exterior facing Bedford. So we received a proposal through Signet, and this would only require Signet scope. It wouldn't require AP Whitaker's involvement at all, because they've already have the infrastructure out into the outbuilding for those 3 cameras. This would just be a fourth onto the power supplies that are already out there. But the cost would be $3,702.69, which for furnish and install a multi-sensor camera, that's fair and reasonable. Multi-sensor means that it's getting a 270-degree view of anything off the corner of that building. It's not just focused on one entrance, but you're getting a full view of everything around. So I have that to report. I also have a request for $1,950 through Spillane's Nursery. And this is to add some evergreen trees along the back border between the outbuilding and the soccer field parking. We have a row of evergreens, a maple tree, evergreens, maple tree, evergreens, maple tree, and it runs as the landscape plan had proposed. But there is a gap in that buffer between the 2 properties. And if we plant 3 additional evergreen trees, we can, those are white pines, so they're going to grow consistent to form a buffer between the soccer fields and the police station. So they asked me, the landscape contractor asked me my opinion on whether we should close that gap, and I see a benefit to do that. It also creates a windscreen between the 2 properties. But it's up to you if you wanted to do that or not do that. I just wanted to get a proposal and present it. It would be $1,950 for furnish, install, stake, mulch, and complete. The reason they need an answer on this tonight is they're also installing irrigation system. So if you planted 3 additional trees, they will take the irrigation system and loop those trees for forming a drip protection to water those trees. If you don't want the trees, that irrigation line continues straight and doesn't accommodate the trees. So you have an opportunity tonight to, yes, get the additional buffer, but also integrate the irrigation system with it. So it's not something, you could always put the trees in later, but the irrigation wouldn't be coordinated with it. So those are 2 items the only 2 items I have tonight for discussion.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions relative to these proposals?
I have one question. Has there been any thought about a camera to the Ted Williams camp?
They have, no.
Camera right into the camp?
They have a pole-mounted camera which is near the dumpster pad, which gives them the closest view. They have a multi-sensor camera there.
So they could spin it and see into the park?
They could go to the park. That's the closest camera we have. We don't have anything beyond the fence,
Right.
you know, into the park.
Okay. All right. I thought that would be a good idea, just to be able to see the cam.
Yeah, we did talk at one point about outfitting all municipal buildings with cameras and putting them down near the lodge and facing back and having those viewable too. But he also said there was potential for, I don't know if you call it a fisheye camera, something that zoomed in, zoomed out, that might be able to capture 75% of the park area from.
The way these cameras are designed now, if you wanted if it was 10 years ago and you wanted a wide-angle view, you would get a camera that would look like a fisheye. And it would be hard to really depict what's in the view, in the viewport. They then had pan-tilt zoom cameras, which you could then move and focus and adjust. And those became very expensive and they failed a lot. You were only able to record what the camera was looking at too. So if you were scanning a camera, you would only be able to record what's in the view of the camera. Today's technology, they call them multi-sensor cameras. You have one dome, but you have multiple sensors, cameras within the dome. And what they do is they digitally stitch a panoramic view so there's no distortion anymore. You see this panoramic view, but it's all consistent and all of the sensors are stitched together. So you can get a 360-degree camera now. Everything is in focus. Now, if you want to zoom, you're relying on the resolution of the image. So it's how many megapixels is in that sensor. So on the exterior of the facility, we have, I think they're 5 megapixel cameras. So you digitally then zoom within the image. And the police department is going to have the ability to take any part of that image and zoom into that and find out whatever information they need. So the technology is far advanced on what it was just 5 years ago.
So if there was a car driving through the park and they wanted to zoom in on the plate,
They
they could
can
grab
see
the
it.
plate off that thing?
Yep.
Awesome.
They just clip the picture and start zooming in, and they can pick up license plates. Yep. And that's the technology you're going to have.
All right, good.
Okay. Any other questions?
You want to approve those, or
Yeah, it's up to you.
you got them over there, Nate, why don't you make the motion?
Or
Now, Rich, you're going to second me.
Wait, do you have a question
Yeah.
relative to
Yeah.
these?
So
Yeah.
there's no impact on the irrigation cost?
No,
Okay.
no.
I'll make a motion to approve the additional multi-sensor camera that's going to be aimed towards the Bedford Street exit, the Old exit for Signet for the amount of $3,702.69.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Also make a motion to add $1,950 for additional trees to Spillane Nursery.
Second, sorry.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Ryan, these other two that are on the pending requests, are they?
We have on the pending,
Yes.
the relocation of the low septic vent has been completed. We just have not received the T&M slips on those, so I don't have any pricing yet. But it has been done, looks great. They have buffered it with landscaping. You won't even know it's there. The add shelving and closed pole was a request of the police department. We're seeking proposals through A.B. Whitaker on that. And that was two closets within the patrol sergeant's room that we didn't have anything in them. They're just open closets. So for one of the closets they looked at, they want adjustable shelving. The second closet, they requested a closed pole. So that's minor. The multi-sensor camera we talked about. And then the cable tray, the last one, it's been completed. I don't know if there's going to be any cost to that, or if Griffin just did it and won't be charged for it.
Don't count on it.
Yeah, that's what we said today.
We got to loop back
Believe me.
around.
I know Griffin.
We had a U-shaped configuration in the communication equipment room, and it was a request to extend the cable tray out to the exterior wall where the antenna cabling will be coming through the wall. So now when the antenna cabling comes through the exterior wall, it can go right on the cable tray and loop back to the cable tray over the racks. We did a sketch on it, they installed it, we just haven't seen any paperwork on it. It's one of those, do I ask or don't I ask? But we need to close that before we can say it's done.
The septic then was a not to exceed number, that didn't we vote a not to exceed number on the septic?
We did.
And that's it. There's really nothing to talk about. It's very positive.
All right, thank you. Moving on, I'm going to go to the IT town action log. We might have talked about a few of these already, but number 2, the transition to the new facility. Tim talked about that, how TMLP will be there to extend the service to the station tomorrow so they can start testing. Number 3, E911, their circuits are installed. Now that the dispatch desks are in, they will run their Cat6 wiring from upstairs down into the dispatch desks. That'll take place next week. And as far as that goes, they're basically ready to go when we call them. And I let them know that we're looking at mid-July. So number 4, central dispatch. This is, again, a police and Tim Graybar's item that'll happen after the move. 5, security. That system has been tested and rang out, so they're pretty much close to done there. Radios, we talked about all the upgrades today. 7, and actually with radios, I talked about the fire department radio boxes. Most of their equipment has come in. They did a site walk with Ryan yesterday at the Kenneth Water Tower to take a look at where their repeater is going to go. So once all their equipment's in, they can install. They're looking by the end of this month to be done with the fire department portion of the work. Number 7, dispatch equipment that is installed, complete. Fiber, we touched on that. That's in and will be spliced. 9 is kind of same as we touched on, but the overall equipment for town IT, Tim is working on that. 10 new computers, Tim touched on that. Those have been ordered. Phones, contract has been signed with MDCOM, and they're on schedule with their install. Cable, Comcast has pulled their service into the station. They're on schedule. 13, audiovisual, Valleycom's done with all their wiring. They'll be bringing in the final equipment once the building has been cleaned, so we're looking around that 17th date. Number 14, E911 recording equipment. E911 will install when ready. 15 is done. We have that room mapped out. And then 16, the town ordered, or Tim ordered a new fingerprint machine for the police. That's been ordered. Oh, one more page. I forgot how much is on this. And then 17, furniture. They're looking at an install date of the 21st after the building's been cleaned, and that will include rack storage as well to get all the shelving in. 18, the work's been done for Lake Cam. They can go in once the building is complete, and Tim is working on 19, ordering the TVs for the offices. Any questions on any of those items?
The dispatch consoles, the wiring that's in there, that was a topic the other day. I don't know if anybody has found out anything about that. In other words, there's wiring coiled up in the ceiling right now, but it's not actually into the consoles themselves. So they need to be patch panels basically in there. So
I'm working with Watson on that, so when she has an answer for you tomorrow.
okay.
Yeah, they are going to close that out. I had our general action log here too. Probably a lot that we spoke about, but E911 we talked about. Closeout documents, we're starting to get some of those items in. Warranties, startup reports, testing from AP Whitaker at this point. 46 commissioning is ongoing, and then the building move. We have a closeout log going for that. So, because everybody likes paperwork, I did include a closeout log as well. And this is just something we circulated last week to get us to completion. So this is something that we've been using in our meetings and sending around to the team, but I'm not going to go through every single item here, but it basically closes us out. So it goes through punch lists, what we need for substantial completion, C of O, final inspections, fire alarm sign off, everything you need to turn the building over. So we are working on all those items. I think that is everything I had. Rolled up into one. The last thing was invoices, and I do have the package here. I did pull one invoice out that was for Langone because actually I think we approved his proposal, but we haven't got a final contract with him. So I noticed that today when I was going through his information. So I'm not going to pay it now. I'll talk to him about the final contract.
And wasn't this, the insurance, the $1,785? I think the check was mailed out last week, and it's in the package.
It's in the package for my tracking. You already paid it, but
Okay.
yeah. So I needed to make sure I included it in my information. So everything's the same except the Langone 4,500 has been pulled out. This is your copy. I made that.
Yep, so it's 22, okay.
I didn't have a copy in there. You had presented one. Yeah. Well, you presented it, but I don't.
Did anybody have any questions about any of the stuff we're gonna pay tonight?
I didn't double count it.
All right, then I will move that we approve for payment the following. General construction to AP Whitaker, 566080.36. $1,000 to the commissioning agent. $107,166.98 for the integrated technology security system. Phone data systems, $19,655.24. Computer upgrades, $2293.66. Builder's risk insurance, $1,785. Is my motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Great.
All right, do we have anything else we want to discuss? Anybody have anything they'd like to bring up relative to the project? When should we meet again?
Oh, actually, I think the meeting falls on the 4th, or the day before the 4th.
Let's not do that.
It does. It falls on the 3rd. So I figured that's probably going to be tough to reel people in. So I was thinking the next Wednesday, which is the 10th.
Okay, so July 10. Does that work for everyone?
Not for me. I know you're having trouble getting a quorum, so.
Is there a day that works? Are you out that week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to do it the week before, the week before the 4th, like the 26th or
We
7th,
could do the 20.
whatever that date is. Is that a Wednesday?
26.
26 is a Wednesday.
Is a Wednesday. Yep.
I'm up for that if it works for everyone.
Yeah. That works for me.
All right, so the next meeting will be on Wednesday, June 26.
That'll be good because then we'll kind of know where everything stands right before the holiday. We can start talking ribbon cutting.
Do you think you can meet actually at the police station? Will they have?
Furniture's coming in the 21st. It'll be clean. Why don't we say we're going to hold it there now? And then before the agenda goes out, I'll confirm that, but everything should be in.
Can you hold it there as a public meeting if it's not an open building?
I know you can't, but we might have C of O by then. We'll see. We'll see. Let's get, as we get closer, we'll let everybody know.
I have informed the contractor today that there's lettering going on, there's a road sign being installed, but until they occupy the building, the signage is to be covered. So if you're driving by and wondering why the lettering is to be covered, I request that, not want the public thinking that's the police station. So until it's occupied, the lettering identification will be covered.
Okay, great. Anything else? Motion to adjourn? All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.